Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Uplift Start the Week podcast, brought to you by the Uplift Jewish Women's Magazine, an online and hard copy periodical that talks to women about relevant subjects in an open and respectful manner. I am your host, Chani Schreibhand, the founder and editor of the magazine. This week's episode is sponsored by Dahlia Brunswick, of Fully Imbalanced, and her details are below. This is the first podcast of 2023, and I'm excited to bring you our special guest, Nathalie Garson, from the JWE Global Network, Jewish Women's Entrepreneur Global Network. Hi, Nathalie, and welcome. I think the best way to start is by you explaining a little bit about what the JWE Global Network is all about. So let's get started.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you, Khadi, for having me. It's true that, it's the beginning of the year 2023. So I feel like this is a great way to start the year, to be invited on your podcast. And yeah, exactly like you said, the Jewish Women Entrepreneurs Global Network was actually born during COVID. I am a business mentor, and I have programs for entrepreneurs. For usually 90% of my clients are Jewish and women. But during COVID, I felt like there was a real need for people to meet and to get together and to network. And, everyone was in their own, little apartments. And we started just meeting on Zoom, and it just took off. And people were coming from all over the world, wanting to share their, business, their services, their offers. And little by little, now it's been 2 years, we've had a monthly meetup every month, the first Wednesday of the month. And altogether, we've had close to 800 women that have registered to this network. So what's amazing about it is that it's really global. We have people from Mexico and from South Africa and from New York and from California and from the UK, of course, from Israel. I'm based in Jerusalem. So yeah, it's really a global movement. And that I just love it. I just love this sisterhood and the energy of the group. It's really amazing.
I think for me, what was amazing was the fact that it wasn't a specific Jewish woman. It was a Jewish woman. And that was all you had to have on your head. All you had to say was Jewish woman who wants to do business and who wants to meet other Jewish women. And I think that really was fantastic, that it wasn't so niche. When you started it, how did you start finding people to join it? Because that's very interesting.
So I'll tell you, it's really happened very organically. I told you that it started during COVID. What happened was I have a Facebook group. Today it has 1,500, I think, members. And in the beginning, before COVID, we had 700 or 800. I don't remember the exact numbers. But I started a challenge, actually, a 21 days challenge back then during COVID. It was totally free. And it was just because I felt like people needed a reason to get up in the morning. And I just had a shout out and said, who wants to be a guest on my challenge? And actually amazing people came and gave so much motivation and inspiration and leadership. And it was a time, everyone remembers this time was a very special time where, it was difficult. And at the same time, people were really hungry and thirsty.
Yeah, I think it was very different. We never experienced that before.
Exactly. And so the 21 days challenge, I've had people, I'm not exaggerating. I've had people who really wrote, like, you saved my life, really. Like I was doing a live every day at 9:30 a.m. Israel time, and people were getting up for that live. So it was, and I just felt, and it was more and more and more people. So at the end, we had, I think, like 900 people who registered it really went viral. Like, people really went viral. And then when the challenge was over, everyone was like, and we even had like a Zoom party at the end. People came dressed up. We had balloons. It was really a nice way to be together. And then people said, what, are you going to stop now? Like, we're not continuing? What's going on? And I said, you know what, let's have a monthly meetup where we can network. And the truth is, I'll be very honest with you, in the beginning, it was with men. Because men also were in the group and came to the networking. There were like maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 men and, 30, 40 women. And so we had a few networking groups like that. And then I realized that there was really something about the Jewish women. It was really something that I wanted to dedicate myself. And I wrote a very nice email to those men. I said, we love you. There's nothing, against you, but we want to have a sisterhood and we want to build that networking. And since then, we've been meeting every month. And just like you've seen, we have on average between 25 and 30 women coming every month. Usually we have double this number that register, but you know how it is. People have last minute thing. But that's how it started. That's really how it started.
So interesting, because we also started COVID time.
Okay.
And the reason we started, the whole thing was based on my mother. My mother died, and this was a memory thing that I made for her. But it was also because of COVID that people weren't able to talk to each other. And we started talking about things that they were missing talking about, like illnesses and things like that. And it really blossomed from there, and we became a magazine. So I think COVID has so many good things that it's done for us as women.
Yes.
We finally finding our voice, and we're able to talk to each other. And I think that is an amazing thing that's been happening all over the world, which is fantastic.
Definitely. I definitely think, at the risk of sounding a little bit, spiritual or woo-hoo, I definitely think that there is something about the feminine dimension, of the way of doing business or the way of being in the world. And women it's not just about, having equal rights. It's really about bringing that feminine dimension to the world. And we see it in...
That's a good thing that you're saying that. Could you repeat that? It's not about women's rights. And I think that is such an important message. And I think sometimes we get lost. That little message is getting lost in the dynamics of people wanting to become, more outspoken and more. I think because today it's not about women's rights.
No, I would say it's not only about women's rights.
We have a lot to give. And in Jewish religion, it doesn't tell us that women have to be downtrodden, and they have to be behind the kitchen sink. It's not true. This is a myth that has gone on for years and years. But if you look back in the Torah, you will see that a lot of the women are what made Judaism.
See much more on a spiritual level is that there is something that women have to offer with their energy, with their feminine dimension, with the way that they look at life, with their intuition, with their vulnerability. I should say our intuition, our vulnerability, right? And I feel like when we bring that in the business world, it becomes something so different. I know the people that I work with or the people of the network, people ask me, what is so special about Jewish women? Like, why do you have a network only for Jewish women? And I find that, we bring another dimension, another layer to, of course, we want to make money. Of course, we want to have a business that works. We want to have clients, but there is something else. There is a purpose driven. There is something beyond, the business. And I feel like the world needs that because, men also need to, be inspired by that. Of course, we have a lot of things we can be inspired by men and we do it. But this is my motivation. And actually, I did ask that question about what's so special about Jewish women in my last guest on my podcast. And she said something, I'm just repeating it because I don't want to take credit for it. But she said that she feels like Jewish women entrepreneurs have more resilience. And I have to agree with that. I think there's also a better resilience or more resilience, maybe coming from the collective unconscious of the Jewish people, everything we had to go through. And so it's interesting to see that there are some characteristics. When we come together as a sisterhood, we see really the characteristics of how we have like-minded people to work with and to be inspired by. So that's really the motivation behind the Jewish Women Entrepreneur Global Network.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. So let's go back to this, go back a little bit to that.
Sure.
And let's say business-wise, what would you, there's no set businesses that you accept and that you don't accept. So let's talk about what businesses do come so that people realize how open it is, so that it's not,
Yeah. So we do. So it's actually very important to say that, some people contact me and they say, I don't have a business, but I have a nonprofit. I say it's okay, because it's an organization. It means that you are a leader. It means that you're leading something. You have an organization. You don't necessarily are looking for clients, but you're looking for donors.
Actually, we're actually a nonprofit.
Exactly. You're a nonprofit. Exactly. So, and you're looking for networking and for connections, and you're looking to be known and to have more exposure. And so those are definitely people that fit in the definition. However, what I do put in the definition, if people say, oh, I have an idea of a business, but I don't yet have clients. So of course, if this is a specific case that has, already one client and they're starting out, yes, of course, they're welcome. But someone who just has an idea, I say, this is a business network. You need to have some clients to be able to say, hey, I'm offering this service, call me at this number, write me at this email. So yes, the condition is to have a business with existing clients. But other than that, we don't have any conditions. This is open to people that want to promote their business, want to share. So we have people, to answer your questions, we have people that are selling services online. We have people that are selling goods. We have people that are selling, people say, do you only have coaches and therapists? I'm like, no, we don't only have coaches and therapists, right? I have someone who is selling everything you need for camps, actually for Jewish camps.
It was really interesting, actually.
Yeah, she's very interesting. Yeah. We have people that are content writers. We have people that are selling jewelry. We have people we had legal lawyers. We had accountant. We had people that are helping people, immigrate from one country to the other. We have a tour guide. We have someone who is a journalist. I'm trying to think,
I think last time, was a perfect example how out of the box you really are. You had this woman who was talking about, it wasn't archaeology, but she was very into the history.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That was really interesting to me, actually. I was thinking, wow.
It was very interesting. Well, last time.
What was her name again?
Oh, you're asking me a question, with hundreds of women, and she came only once, I think. So I won't be able, I know that we have some women are coming every month, and that for sure I know them, but the people that come only once.
Yeah, but she was really interesting. It was an interesting talk, and it was.
And by the way, it's interesting that you're asking the name, because I started receiving messages, private message on Facebook from people. Hey, who was that content writer? That blah, blah, who was that legal? And I was like, listen, I'm not going to be, able to manage all those questions. So it actually what motivated the online platform that we opened. So
that is a marvelous thing. So let's talk about that, because that to me was everything.
Exactly. I was actually looking for something for a long time. And then I found, I can say, the name of the software is Mighty Network. That's the name Mighty Network. Yeah, that's the name of the software that I'm using. And it's basically a tool that is helping you create an online network, without, I would say, to make it easy to understand, like Facebook, but not on Facebook, right? You saw the platform, right? It's you can post, you can comment, they don't say like, they say cheer, probably because they don't want to be like Facebook, but you can see who is online. The feature that I love the most is that you can see who is next to you. So let's say, a few weeks ago, I went to New York and I had to post on Facebook, I'm going to New York, who wants to meet? Because I was like, yeah, I have people from my network. And, it was not complicated, but people said, yeah, maybe talk to her. But I figured when right now we have, close to 60, 55, I think, women in the online platform. But if we have, and when we'll have hundreds or thousands, and you say, I'm going to New York, and see the people that are next to you, and you can just, meet up, or you're going to, I don't know, to France, or you're going to London.
I think that's fantastic. And we were doing something like this. We were thinking very, very seriously of doing something like this in the magazine, just that Jewish women who are looking for a doctor, artist or something would be able to find who they're looking for. So I think that I'm going to look into this, Mighty.
So you can look into it, and it's very interesting because one of my next projects is to bring on experts. So we are only for entrepreneurs, right? So it's really around business. And I've worked in my program with experts, and of course I know a lot of women or experts, professionals that offer services to entrepreneurs. And so one of the goals of the network is to create a directory, an expert directory, so that people can, from the platform, connect with. So there are all kinds of, you can have online courses or recorded videos or all kinds of things. Now, of course, there's going to be monetization around this.
Yeah.
Right now, everything is free. It's very important to say that the network is free, the platform is free, the meetups are free. But the goal is to bring everyone to a conference, like I said, a conference in Jerusalem, and to be able to share with everyone, have a win-win where everyone can share their services. And this experts directory will be an option. You need someone to do a website, you need an accountant, you need someone to do your graphics, you need someone to write your content.
I think this is exactly what we really need this in our community. And I'm really excited that that I'm part of your growth, hopefully. And
yes.
I'm really glad that I met you. And I think we met through someone told me about it on LinkedIn. So
okay, perfect. Perfect.
This is what social media should be about and is about.
Yes.
This is it. There's so much positive in it. And as long as we use it in a positive way, I think we can only grow from it. Of our commitments to Hashem. But now we're halfway through and we're making our commitments to what we want to achieve for the rest of the year. So what would you tell people to do?
It's a very good question, and it's interesting because we just spoke about online platforms and we spoke about social media. But what I always like to remind, whether it's my clients or the people that follow me in my content and my trainings, is that we also forget the in-person, the real person connections and the relationships. And we don't forget, but sometimes we're like, oh, I'm going to post something on Facebook. Great. But I feel like this part of the year, whether it's the holidays or the new year, it's really a great opportunity to pick up the phone or to send a private message or to send a WhatsApp. And it could be to past clients, it could be to partners, it could be to people you want to do business with. All of a sudden, people are more, of course, they're going to say, oh, I'm busy the first part of January. But there is something more in the air that people connect with each other. They, just unplugged, we're with their families, whether you work with non-Jews or not, if you have holidays. And I feel like this is a great time to not only be present on all the online platforms, but also to have this one-on-one connection to remind. It could be for business, it could be just for, networking. That's what I feel like this is really important.
Fantastic. And I'll tell you what, last week, our podcast was about depression, actually, and how to deal with it. And we were saying that this time of the year, after everyone was all together, all of a sudden they start realizing that they're lonely. And that's when depression could really creep in really strongly. So I think that what you just said was really tied into that, actually.
Yeah. And that is taking me to, that's also why we have every first Wednesday of the month, but this one in 2 days, the meetup that we have, the Global Network meetup, is on Wednesday, is also the first week of the year. So It's a great opportunity to start the year with connections, with networking. As when the women in the group in the meetup, they go into a breakout room. So you have first the 1 minute presentation where everyone says what they do in 1 minute, but then we have the opportunity for like 20 minutes to network, and people love the breakout rooms because you never know who you're going to end up with. Yeah. And it's always a great surprise, and you can connect on much more smaller scales.
Yeah, you learn about that person.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do for the end of this is make sure that we have your I'll ask you to send me the link so that I could put underneath exactly how to become a member and how to do it. Sure. And we will also remind people that it's this Wednesday. What time?
So it's Wednesday, January 4th at 8 p.m. Israel time. Okay. So you have to translate wherever you are.
Before America, 5 hours before.
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly. Everyone has to translate, right? But it's 8 hours. It lasts an hour and a half. And of course, we ask people to come on time and to stay until the end. But it's a very dynamic. Everyone, you've been there, you've seen it. People love the energy. People love it. It's really a time of sisterhood, of connection. We also have in the middle, between the 1 minute presentation and the breakout room, we have an in-depth presentation where every time there's one.
Who's doing it this time?
So we have Annette, who is doing it. She's a content writer, and she's going to do it on content writing. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Every month we have something else.
Yeah, very good. Anyways, very, very nice to meet you, Nathalie. And I am really, really excited for Wednesday. And I hope you get loads of members from my friends and from people who listen to
For
this.
sure. Yeah, I think
And
that this is a
hopefully
great.
next week we'll be back with another great episode of Uplift Start the Week. And nice to meet you.
Thank you, honey. Thank
You're
you. And
welcome.
have a great year. Thank you so much. Bye bye.